We're back here earlier than we perhaps expected. England have won a test match in Australia for the first time in nearly 15 years. Aaron Finch joins me to look back on a crazy 2 days at the MCG. Aaron, I'm just going to start actually with your thoughts on the fact we've had the second 2-day test match in this series. It feels like there's going to be repercussions from this going forward. What are your initial sort of takeaways from another 2-day test, particularly such an iconic test match as this one?
Yeah, it's not ideal, is it? I think there's so many fans that were scheduled to come through the gate for the remaining 3 days of the test, and for it to just go 2 days, and I mean, from probably lunch yesterday, it always felt like it was going to be a test that would struggle to get to the third day. So for the fact that that's happened twice in 4 test matches now is very disappointing. I think. I mean, people are looking at it and saying, well, how much did the wicket contribute to so many of the dismissals? But it's not always about the dismissal that really matters. Often it's the build up to that, and you're seeing the ball go around corners, the steep bounce. I mean, some were bouncing through to the keeper on day one, some were going up head height. Just extraordinary seam movement as well. And I think there was a stat yesterday. It was the MCG was the most amount of seam of any conditions in the world. So to me, it just wasn't quite good enough. I guess with the next 3 days scheduled to be really hot, maybe he was worried about the wicket flattening out too much, but didn't even have a chance to get there. And like you said, there will be repercussions, no doubt. I mean, the commercial flow-on effect to the bottom line, to Cricket Australia, to TV networks, to everybody involved in the game is huge. So, yeah, it's disappointing.
Is there anything a batter can do in conditions like this? I mean, I guess we can look at how England have chased it down this afternoon. Jacob Bethell played very well. Zach Crawley and Ben Duckett set the tone. Does it just come down to having a bit of luck at the end of the day?
Yeah, I think it does, especially in conditions as extreme as what they were. I think any time that you've got the ball moving that much, you have to be brave. You have to probably afford or be prepared to look stupid at times playing in such a way, because you know that eventually one is just going to have your name on it. And I mean, Steve Smith, he looked as comfortable as anyone in the first dig, and then gets an absolute corker that nips back through the gate from Josh Tongue. It was unfortunate that it went as much as it did. Great toss for England to win, but yeah, it would have been nice to see this be a classic like Adelaide and go into the 5th day where all results are on the table.
Just to talk a little bit more about what we saw from Jacob Bethell today, brought in as a replacement for Ollie Pope. A lot of talk. He hasn't got a first-class century yet, only one at professional level that came a few months ago. How impressed were you with how he compiled that 40 today? And is it one of those that fits into the category of a 40 that's worth an 80?
Oh, and runs were like gold dust on that wicket. So as a batter, you take them and bank them, absolutely. I thought that he shaped up really nicely. Of course, he was going to be a bit inventive. He's a modern player. He's only a youngster, and everyone plays in with a similar philosophy about get them before they get me. So the thing that I like about the way that he plays is he's got so much time. Even on a wicket that is seaming around, he still looks in control of his movement. He never looks rushed. So that's always a sign of a player that is in control of their technique. I would like to see him bat in the middle order and get his start in the middle order where he can work into a game and work into his career. I think at the minute he's probably just been thrown to the slaughter a little bit on the back of Ollie Pope being out of nick throughout the first 3 test matches as well. But I mean, it's going to be sink or swim, isn't it? When you get thrown in at number 3 in some conditions like we've seen, it goes one way or the other really quick. But he's definitely a player for the future. I think it'd be nice to see him go back and grind out a county season where he can be prolific and start to build innings more regularly. And I guess just get that understanding of how to play longer form cricket more consistently.
If we just look at the Australian batting lineup now, and I know this is a test match that batters will probably want to park, move on from, and never think back about, but is it a bit of a concern that there seems to be 2 or 3 in the Australian order that are in that category of needing some runs next week in Sydney? It's a long time after that when Australia next play Test cricket. I'm thinking Jake Weatherald, even Marnus, and then Cameron Green, who batted 7 and 8 this week in Melbourne. Are there a few too many unanswered questions there for Australia's liking?
Yeah, there is. And that goes back even to the Adelaide Test match where there was a lot of opportunity to get big runs on a flat wicket. That was as good a batting conditions as we've seen in Australia for quite some time. And the fact that there was no one that put their hand up and said, right, this is my test match. I'm going to stamp my authority on the position that I'm playing at the moment. So, yeah, there's still a lot of unanswered questions in the Australian top order as well. When you've got guys that have come into the series out of form internationally. I mean, Marnus went back and did everything that he possibly could in Shield cricket and dominated the first 4 or 5 rounds of Shield cricket to force the selectors' hands to sliding him back into that lineup. Jake Weatherald hasn't quite found his groove just yet, but again, he's played in some brutal conditions. That first test in Perth was extreme. The Melbourne test was extreme. Adelaide was good, but I mean, it's just pink ball in in Brisbane. You never know what you're going to get. So I think you can forgive Jake a little bit in that regard and probably judge him over a little bit more longer period. What time gives you is time to think and the selectors time to map out a different way to go forward. And I mean, there'll be the back half of the Shield season, and then I presume that a lot of those players will try and get over to county cricket and start really forcing the selector's hand for next season. So I think it's August with some matches against Bangladesh. Is that right? Up north.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what the 11 looks like come those games. So yeah, Cameron Green, he's just looked at sea, hasn't he? There's times when you're watching play and a bit like I mentioned about Jacob Bethell, he's got time and he's got elegance, and then there's times when everything seems like it's just frantic and the footwork's frantic and the thinking is not quite there for long enough periods. So yeah, I mean, all of those players have left themselves vulnerable, no doubt. And even next week going into Sydney, I don't expect that Andrew McDonald would change the 11. Well, of course he'll change the 11. A spinner will come in, but I don't think that there'll be wholesale changes. So yeah, another opportunity for the guys to fly the flag for themselves.
Just finally back to England, Josh Tongue named player of the match in this
Yep.
test. He bowled very well on a flatter pitch in Adelaide. Have you been impressed by what he's brought to the England attack?
Yeah, he's been very impressive. His ability to pitch the ball fuller than most of the other England quicks has been really impressive. And that's what you need to do on wickets when there is extreme seam movement as well. His ability to continue to keep coming on a flat Adelaide wicket was outstanding. So yeah, they probably didn't get turned to often enough. The fact that they kept going back to Brighton Cast whenever they needed something, when Tongue was the one that always looked more likely to get a breakthrough, was a bit surprising. But yeah, he was outstanding. He deserves the rewards that he got in this game because he's put some toil in before that.
I said that was final question. One more, because I know you were at the BBL game at the SCG the other night. I know Sam Harper played a century at the end of it, but it did seem to turn and it did seem to seam as well. With early glance, what would you expect in Sydney next week?
That was a totally different wicket to what we've seen in the past years. This year, they've had more time to prepare the surface. They've had more time with no Sydney Swans playing finals, so the wickets were brought up earlier. What I did notice was a really thick matting of grass, and it was rolled down and it was flat and it was even, but it was a real spongy type, thickish grass on the surface where the spin wasn't because of the dryness of the surface like we've seen in previous years at the SCG. It was because of the sponginess of the grass. So if the square looked immaculate, the outfield was as good as I've ever seen it in 20 years. So for me, I wouldn't be a wicket where you go, right, do we toss up playing 2 spinners? I think this is, again, an option to go 3 quicks and a spinner.
Well, this rather mad 2 days has wrapped up Test cricket for 2025. There's been plenty of stories along the way. We'll be back next week to see what the first Test of 2026 offers and see whether this Ashes series will throw up some more chaos and drama to wrap itself up. But thanks to Aaron for joining us today, and we'll be back next week.
Well done, England.